Hi everyone. I'm sorry for however I sound in this episode and whatever sounds you happen to hear in the background. I am not professional. I'm in my car and I have to have the AC on because if I don't, I'll die. And it's 99 fucking degrees outside is what my car says. Wait, so if it's 99 in my car, it means it's at least 95 outside. It's fucking hot here, people. I feel like I'm gonna die. As soon as I go into places that have air conditioning, I feel like a brand new person. Like the life is just being infused back inside me. So yeah, it looks like this app lets you still record until July, so that's why I'm still able to use the recording feature. Not that anybody cares. I don't know what I just said the last almost minute, but I just got out of therapy, which should explain how I might sound. One of the things we talked about is this selective mutism shit, and it's weird. I just talked about that yesterday on here or something. I've even written about that recently, and that happened to come up today, and I got really upset over it, and I haven't realized how upset I've been over this. My entire life, I know I've talked about this, in a funny haha way, and, it is funny kind of now, but not really. Your entire life, I don't know how it is for anybody else, because I haven't really heard experiences that go into depth about this, so if anybody can point me to a podcast or a book or email me, that'd be great. But throughout my life, when I have not been able to talk, my words literally leave me, and I'm so sick of people saying the word literally and not using it the proper way. I thought throughout my life, you hear literal, that means when I say I literally can't speak, I couldn't speak, I can't say it when I can't, if that makes sense, I don't know. But after the fact, when you are able, you have your voice back and you say, hey, I wasn't able to speak, I literally could not speak. It's people hear, oh, you just didn't want to talk, you were too upset to talk, or something. And they don't even fucking hear what you're actually saying, which is, I opened my mouth and I couldn't make words come out of my fucking mouth. I literally could not speak. And I've had people oh, there she goes again, giving us the silent treatment, or, oh, you're such a bitch, rumors would get spread about me, oh, as soon as she's upset about something. And this was this got more prevalent the last few years of traditional employment, because that's when my mask was starting to crack, and I was not able to keep up with the facade as well, and I was just letting my real self show through at work. And I'm tired of pretending I'm happy. Tired of pretending I don't feel upset about you motherfuckers. But I don't know, even I was talking to my therapist Tia today, and I was telling her that even growing up, this would happen to me. I would get, it happens when I'm so upset. I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to go for everybody, or if it's different. I'm not sure. I need to do way more research. I didn't do enough for my lesson. I need to go back and dive into it and provide more, because I still don't fully 100% grasp this. But I would tell my mom, my ex-mother, after we would have an argument or something, or she would get she would blow up at me, and then I would get so upset in those moments that I lost my voice. And I'm a kid, so I didn't have a whole lot of vocabulary. I didn't know what was going on. I still don't fully understand this, but when you're a kid, it's what the fuck is this, what is happening, why can't I talk? And then you go to tell your parent after the fact, hoping that they'll know what you mean, because you're speaking literally, and that perhaps maybe they can give you an explanation. That's what I always hoped for, is I ask questions, I want answers, and if you don't know them, then let's talk this through. And this bitch never believed me. She never either she chose not to, I don't get it. Did you, I don't know. I can sit here and pick through that bitch's mind all I want, but it'll still end up being rotten. What does that mean? Sorry. Probably, because, like, I don't know. I have not had, I wish I had better experiences at the very beginning of my life, like, with this bullshit, so that I wasn't so upset when it happened. And so, like, I'm in therapy talking about, like, just all these times I can recall this occurring, and how, out of control, like, you can't control it when it happens. That's the most fearful part, because, you know, like, we're autistic. We typically like to craft our days certain ways so that they're predictable. We craft our lives this way because it makes us feel stable and happy and grounded. And, you know, you throw, like, this mutism bullshit into the mix, and you cannot do anything about it. It just happens, and you have to deal with it. And, you know, I never knew what, like, I never consciously, like, is consciously the right way to say it? I never consciously, like, stopped to think, like, okay, I'm noticing that this happens every time I'm in a really upsetting situation and I'm having a hard time with what I'm feeling. Like, I didn't stop and, like, just really think about that piece, you know? It's just those things, one of those things you keep doing until something makes you stop and take a look at it. And so, you know, like, even my own wife, Alicia, doesn't, like, get this. And so I was telling Tia, like, I think she just hears, like, oh, you just didn't want to talk, or you were too upset to talk, and that's what you mean by you couldn't talk. Like, that's how I feel when I say that to Alicia, you know, because there always feels like there's some disconnect. It doesn't seem like she fully understands that, like, when I can't talk, I can't talk. And I'm not at the point yet where I'm able to, like, I need to get there real soon. But, like, this happened to me within the last few days. I'm too upset to talk about what that issue is. So, like, maybe, like, in the near future. But I got so upset that, like, my voice, like, left me. And it didn't dawn on me that I could just write down, hey, or text her, like, hey, I can't talk right now. Or, like, words won't come out. Like, I don't even know how to put that. It didn't dawn on me to do that. And even if it did, like, I don't know what words would I use to hope that my message got through clearly. That, like, you know that this isn't me being stubborn. It's me, like, I lost my voice. I literally cannot talk. And so, like, that's why I don't know, like, what is it like to live like this, like, your whole life? Because I can't imagine that. I can imagine those small moments that this happens. And by small, they're not small in the moments. Like, this can last for days. This, you know, this can last for fucking days. You know, and, like, it's usually, like, several hours or a day most of the time. But, like, I'll have bouts where there's, like, days where I literally, like, I can't talk. And it feels lonely when you're trying to communicate that and it's not being 100% received, like, at least from my perception, you know? Like, you feel like it doesn't click with the person you're trying to explain it to, which just makes you feel even more, like, unseen and unheard. So we talked about that quite a bit in therapy today, and about how, like, upsetting that is for me, how shitty it feels to, like, tell people the truth about what happened to you and nobody believe you, or, like, nobody stop and, like, just, like, what is up with people? Like, I know I don't get a lot of shit, but, like, hello? Like, I don't know. Is it because, like, this isn't well talked about or something? Like, should this be talked about more? Do people not know that this happens? Because I'm guessing that probably not, because if you don't hear of something, if, like, large amounts of people don't hear about something, it must not be true, right? Like, I don't know. And I don't understand the cruelty, because in my mind, the only scenario I see is, like, if somebody were to, like, if that happened to me, like, if somebody suddenly stopped talking to me, and, you know, like, a few days later was like, okay, this is what happened. Like, I literally used the word correctly, people, I literally could not talk. Words would not come out of my mouth. I would be curious. I'd be like, okay, because I immediately would make that shift in my mind that wasn't about me at all, that happened. It's something that this person, it happened to them. You know what I mean? So I don't know, like, I would be curious. I'd be like, oh my God, like, how often does this happen to you? How do you feel when this happens? Like, I would have thousands of questions. You know, I wouldn't sit there and deny somebody's reality. And I'm sure I've done that in some form or fashion over the years, because who hasn't? But I wouldn't go to this length. I wouldn't, like, deny this, like, at least I wouldn't. Because especially these days, I feel like I have a way more open mind. Like, I feel like you need to just believe what people say. And if they end up having lied to you, oh, well, like, it is what it is. Move on. It doesn't mean you stop trusting people. I don't know if that made any sense. And just, like, I have a way much open mind. If somebody said something to me that sounded fucking wacky today, I would probably not be naive, you know, not be like that or gullible, but be like, okay, let's talk about this, because I need to have this make sense in my mind. So I would be coming from a place of curiosity and also, like, you know, empathy too, because that must suck. You know what I mean? That's where my mind would go. So I don't understand why people feel okay to be cruel and take the opposite road and not believe people when they say they couldn't talk. Not really stop and listen to them, like, using the specific words you need to hear to understand this concept. Like, I don't know. It just sucks. You know, and you're in therapy and you're 41 and you're sitting there and you're thinking about, like, just all of these instances just popped into my head at once of this happening. Like, there's been times, I don't even know that I've said this on here, there's been times when I had traditional jobs and I would get so upset at work about something. Now, this never happened when I went into work. This only happened from lunchtime and on. Like, usually it was at lunchtime, because, so I'd go into work, right? I was a counselor. I'd go, you know, I'll go into work, several hours of working. And then by the time noon rolls around, which is like most people's lunches, I only had about 2.5 hours left of work, because that's how I structured my day. Like, I wanted to leave early. So, you know, and this was when I would eat lunch with people, because that's what I thought I had to do. Like, I thought I was supposed to eat lunch with my fucking coworkers. And something would happen in there, like, we would have some sort of a conversation, or I don't know, but, like, I would immediately, like, feel, like, so unseen, so disrespected, so something. It would have, it, like, I'm still kind of, like, not upset, well, a little bit, to just give specifics on that. I just know that, like, that's the feeling. Like, I remember the feeling. Like, I would get so fucking upset. Like, so angry. So, like, why don't they get it? Like, they're completely missing the point. And so, like, then I realized I couldn't talk. And it's like a feeling that I get before I actually try to talk. Like, I already know I can't do it before I try. Does that happen to anybody? I don't know if, like, I would like to hear if that does. It's weird. But I would be in lunch, and I would be in, like, a situation would happen. And this wasn't a regular thing. This was, like, few and far between that this happened at work, because I must have, like, unconsciously tried to, like, mask this part of me too. But, so I'd lose my voice, right? I'd get up and I would gather my stuff and go to my office. And this would be like mid-conversation. And the immediate impression is, oh, what a bitch. Or, oh, you didn't like what you heard. You know, adults acting like children. I will never get it. But no, I was gathering my shit and leaving, because, like, I didn't, you know, I knew I couldn't talk. I still didn't understand that. How is anybody else going to understand that? And I don't trust these people to sit here and, like, admit this to them. Because I know, you know, look what they're saying already. You know, like, if somebody's upset, go after them or give them some time and then go check up on them. Don't just, like, make your mean-ass assumptions. You know, like, people are rotten. And I would go to my office and I would check my schedule. And I would like leave a note, like, I had to go, like, can you see this person? Or there's been a couple of times where, like, I would get one of the receptionists and write on a note, like, hey, like, I've got some laryngitis that just kicked in, or, like, I use something that I thought sounded believable. I would write it down and hand it to them in person, so that hopefully it didn't look weird that I wasn't talking. Or I would just leave a note and, like, leave and hope I didn't get fired. I mean, I always knew I wouldn't, because nobody would fire me. I was so good at my job. And I know that sounds cocky, but, you know, that was still a worry, that what if I got fired for something like that. And that's how I got out of it. And that's why I'm glad that, like, I set up my schedule the way that I did, so that, like, I didn't miss, like, too much work. And then when there were the infrequent periods where I lost my voice for days, I would, quote, call into work, which these days is, like, it's texting. You just, for years, I've just only had to text a supervisor, like, hey. And so that's what I would do if I woke up and I knew, nope, can't talk. I don't know when this is going to come back. And you just hope that, like, it comes back, your voice comes back at some point throughout the day or the next day, or, you know, then you're wondering, like, how long will this go on? How much work am I going to miss? Like, what will people think? Like, this has just been, like, some huge issue that I must have just, like, you know, you just deal with shit because you get used to it. And then it isn't until, like, random things happen that make you stop and think about something. But I just wanted to get on here and say that this is, like, so upsetting when this happens. And, like, I don't feel like anybody understands it except you guys. Like, autistic people, you guys get it. And I don't have an autistic friend in person. Like, I don't have an autistic friend that knows that they're autistic. I would like to have one of those relationships in person, because there's a whole book that we wouldn't even have to talk about. We could just move on to the good stuff, like our special interests or whatever, you know? Like, we wouldn't have to sit there and be like, why do you go nonverbal? Like, why this? Why? Unless you're newer, like, you newly figured out you're autistic, then of course you're going to have those questions and you won't know those things. But you know what I mean? Like, after you figure that shit out, and you find another friend that's autistic and they know it, and, like, they're not going to question you they're not going to ask you about how you're being. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but it would just be nice to not have to worry about not being understood. I know I would immediately feel understood, because I do when I talk to you guys online. And I can't do video or phone, which sucks and makes it feel so isolating. So that's why, like, I would love to have an in-person connection. Just a friend in person that, like, you know, I could just text and be like, hey, I can't talk. Like, literally. And they'd be like, cool, you know, well, we can keep texting, or just like, hey, call me when you can, or something, you know what I mean? They would, like, believe me, they would know what that meant, and then move on with their life, you know? Wouldn't that be nice? And for those of you who have that, I am so jealous of you, or envious. I don't remember which word to use. Those always get mixed up in my head. And do you know what? Like, I taught that lesson for years when I was a counselor. I would have a whole 3-hour group session about those two words and how different they are, and have, like, homework and role play scenarios. And to this day, like, I still am like, what? Oh my God, what is happening to my brain? Okay, thanks for listening. Hopefully this was relatable. Sorry for whatever sound quality this produced, because it's probably not the best. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.